Hello students, today I take up a new topic and the title is Why Some Governors Are on the War Path. Students, as you know that no other institution in our constitution has been mired in so much controversies as the institution of governor. Since the promulgation of our constitution on 26 January 1950. So what are the reasons for the regular controversies surrounding the institution of governor of different state? We shall analyze today in detail. Our lesson plan include why is it in the news, position of governor in the constitution, the discretionary power of governor, controversy related to the role of governor, Supreme Court ruling on the removal of governor, controversies over the appointment and dismissal of chief minister by the governor, recommendation of different commission for smoothing of center-state relation, solution and way forward, and conclusion. Students, we will cover one by one under these headings. So, if you like my channel AJIS Academy, please share and subscribe. Please tell your friend that this is a free channel meant for students preparing for UPSC, civil services examination, those students who can't afford to give hefty fees to different coaching institutions, they should rely upon my channel. This is free channel. Just type AJIS Academy on YouTube and you'll find lots of videos covering different topics which are for competitive examinations like UPSC, civil services examination and other competitive examination. So, student, now start the proceedings. Now, why is it in the news? Media reports about the confrontation between the governor of Maharashtra and Kerala and the state governments. Maharashtra governor refused to accept the date of election of the speaker recommended by the state government. Number 3, the government of Kerala made an allegation that he was under pressure from the government to reappoint the vice chancellor of Kannur University. Again, he went into the public to express his anger and grievances. He said that he doesn't want to remain the chancellor anymore. Next, in West Bengal, what we see? The allegations and counter-allegations are leveled upon governor and chief ministers, and this has become a regular feature since Mamata Banerjee and the central government has tussled in the wake of the assembly election in West Bengal. Now, non-acceptance of the advice of the Council of Ministers has been witnessed in Rajasthan also. The confrontation between governor and chief minister has become a regular feature. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin announced last week that his government is pondering over as to how it can empower itself to win away the chancellorship from the governor. The governor of Tamil Nadu did not forward a bill even after the lapse of 3 months adopted by assembly to scrap national eligibility cum entrance test as a sole guiding factor for admission to undergraduate medical courses. Now, in this backdrop, when we see that there is a there are lot of controversies doing rounds between governors and chief ministers of state, and those states which are ruled by different parties at center and state. These states have become a battleground for tussle between chief ministers and governor. So now we look to what are the main provision in the constitution with regard to the position of governor. So let us proceed now. Governor is a constitutional head of the state. All the executive functions are carried out in the name of governor. In a similar way, as we find that all the executive works in the central government is carried out in the name of the President of India. Now, role of governor is similar to that of President of India, but not exactly the same as the President of India. And why I am telling this, I will narrate later on. Now, the governor also acts as the agent of the central government. So, what we see that governor, apart from being the constitutional head of the state, he is also the representative or agent of the central government posted at state in order to give all kinds of informations, developments that are occurring in the particular state, and by the institution of governor, the central government keep abreast of all the developments that are going in the state. So governor is also the head of the executive, legislative, judicial power. He has got judicial power, legislative power. So what we see that governor has got wide powers, but these powers are exercised by his chief ministers along with the council of ministers. So what we see that governor is only a constitutional head, a nominal head, and the real power is vested in chief minister along with his council of ministers. Student, as you know that this institution of governor and the mode of appointment has been borrowed from the Canadian Constitution. Instead of an elected governor, the Constituent Assembly decided in favor of selection of governor by the central government. Why? Because an elected government would have mobilized public opinion, power, and there would have been a possibility of confrontation between chief minister and governor. But now, after the selection mode of governor, Constituent Assembly tried to sort out this problem. Secondly, the election of governor would have cost lot of money to the exchequer, and it would have been just a duplication of work. So now the position is that governor is appointed or selected by the ruling party at the center. Now, what are the discretionary power? As you know that under Article 163 of the Constitution, governor has got certain discretionary power, and these discretionary power are not to be found in case of the President of India. Under Article 74 of the Constitution, President is bound to accept the advice of the Council of Ministers. He has been given only one time power for reconsideration, and once Parliament reconsider any decision or the executive, his executive government led by Prime Minister reconsider the decision, and then President has no choice but to sign over that bill, that resolution of the government. Further, in matters related to constitutional amendment bill or money bill, the President of India has no power for reconsideration. But student, what we see under Article 163, in addition to being the constitutional head of the state, governor also have the discretionary power which he can exercise, and in doing or in exercising those discretionary power that I will narrate further, governor is not bound to accept the advice of Council of Ministers. Again, his discretion or his decision in matters relating to discretionary power cannot be questioned in a court of law. That is a final. So, governor has got certain important discretionary power. What are those discretionary power? If no party gets majority in the state assembly, now it is the prerogative of governor to appoint a leader as chief minister who is likely to get majority support in assembly. For example, in 1952, Rajagopalachari was made chief minister of Madras. Although Rajagopalachari did not contest election as an MLA, Governor Sri Prakash appointed him as chief minister of Congress party, although the United Democratic Front had more MLAs, although not a majority, in a house of 375 MLAs. The Congress had only 162 MLAs in its kitty, but in spite of the larger number of MLAs with the United Democratic Front, the governor invited Rajagopalachari as the chief minister of Madras. So, this is the discretionary power enjoyed by the governor of a state in matters relating to dismissal of the Council of Ministers. Governor also enjoy certain discretionary power. But students, as you know, in the S.R. Bomai case, the Supreme Court ruled that whether a ministry or the Council of Ministers enjoys the majority or not, that will be tested on the floor of House. So what we see here, the discretionary power of governor cannot be exercised in an arbitrary manner. He will have to take recourse to reason. First of all, he will have to summon the state assembly, and then he will have to direct the Council of Ministers for floor test, and if the incumbent chief minister doesn't get majority support, he will have to resign, as Yediyurappa did in 2018 when he had the support of 104 MLAs in Karnataka Assembly and did not get the majority. The governor Bejuwala sworn him oath, and there was a lot of controversies arising out of the appointment of Yediyurappa by the then governor. And so the Congress party approached Supreme Court, and Supreme Court ruled that the floor test will be conducted under CCTV camera, and if Yediyurappa enjoys majority or he gets majority, then only he can remain as chief minister, otherwise he will have to resign. And student, as you know, that Yediyurappa had to resign because he could not muster majority in the house. So what are the other discretionary powers? So I am telling you one by one that when governor exercises discretionary power, he is not supposed to take the advice of his council of ministers. These discretionary powers are entrusted to governors of Nagaland, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Gujarat, Maharashtra, in matters relating to Hyderabad, Karnataka region, so that ample representation should be given to those people living in Hyderabad, Karnataka region of Maharashtra. Similarly, in case of Gujarat, the development of Kathiawar region is the special responsibility of governor. Similarly, in case of Manipur, Nagaland, the law and order problem is the special discretionary power of the concerned governor. For the governor of Sikkim, he has been mandated to look into the problem arising out of the differences in socio-economic condition of different ethnic group. So these are the important special discretionary power of governor. In addition, the Assam governor under 6th schedule has been entrusted with the power to look into the allocation of funds accrued from minerals to the tribal council by state government. He is the final authority as far as the quantum of funds to be allotted to tribal councils of Assam by state government. Similarly, by the 7th Amendment, it has been decided that governor can hold the charge of 2 or more state or union territories. When so appointed as an administrator of union territory, in addition to his regular charge of governor of certain state, the governor will act or administer that union territory without the advice of his council of ministers of that state. So under 7th Amendment of the Constitution, governor has been empowered to take charge of more than one state or union territories. In other state, where he is appointed as an administrator of union territory, governor is not supposed to accept the advice of his council of ministers. He will act independently. Controversy related to the role of governor. What are the controversies? Student, as you know, why governor was a selected one? Why he is not an elected one? And why he is not elected as the President of India? So the members of Constituent Assembly decided in favor of the selection of governor by the central government in order to curb vociferous and secessionist forces working in different states of India when it got independence. As you know, at the time of independence, there was communist movement in Telangana which wanted to secede from India. There were also vociferous tendencies among a section of people in Tamil Nadu. The entire northeastern India were boiling and they wanted to secede from the Indian Union. So in that scenario, it was thought prudent to appoint a selected governor by the President of India. And governor was entrusted with dual charge as a constitutional head of the state and as a representative of the central government. And that's why governor was entrusted with discretionary powers. Now, the governor is appointed by the central government. The main qualification for a governor is that he should be a citizen of India. He should be more than 35 years of the age. He should not be the member of either of the House of Parliament or state legislature. He should not hold the office of profit. These are the important criteria, and now a convention has developed that the governor should not be appointed in those states where from he is a resident. So he should be appointed governor in other state instead of his own state. This convention has now developed in India. But the problem is that no criteria has been adopted for the appointment of governor. Government of India adopted so many commissions to smoothen the relationship between center and state, and that I will narrate later on. But these recommendations were not given attention to, with the result that controversy always crop up whenever a governor is appointed in a particular state. So what we see, that no criteria for the appointment of governor by the central government. Central government appoints governor from his party, or if the government thinks that certain political leaders should be shunted out, that leader is appointed as governor to remove him from active politics. Again, in appointment of the governor, the state government is not consulted upon, and this is a wrong precedent. Controversy regarding the removal of governor has also become an important point. Student, as you know, that the post of governor is a constitutional post, and the Supreme Court in Catena of Judgment ruled that governor cannot be removed on the whims and caprices of the central government. There must be certain reason for the removal or dismissal of governor. Governor is appointed for 5 years, his tenure is 5 years, and he holds the post during the pleasure of president. This means that president can anytime dismiss the governor, but the Supreme Court gave the verdict that this should not be done. He should not be removed arbitrarily, and removal must not smack malefied intention. So, what we see, the governor has become pawns on the chessboard of ruling political parties. In 1977, when the Janata Party government came to power in center, it dismissed 15 governors by one stroke. Similarly, when Srimati Gandhi came to power in 1980, she dismissed many governors. Again, in 2004, when the UPA government came into power, government replaced the governor of Goa, Haryana, UP and Gujarat. Similarly, when in 2014 the BJP government came to power at the center, it asked so many governors to resign. So, what we see that with the changing power equation at the center, the governors are also changed, accusing or taking the alibi that certain governor doesn't represent the wishes of people. These are just alibis. It has nothing to do with the reality. So now I come to another point, and that is Supreme Court ruling on the removal of the governor. Supreme Court ruled that governors, as I have already told you, could not be removed arbitrarily. It said that governors cannot be dismissed on basis that they are out of sync with the different ideologies and policies of the central government. In the case of BP Singhal versus Union of India, the Supreme Court clarified that court will monitor the documents or materials of the central government and will find out whether the dismissal of certain governor smacks of arbitrariness or malefied intention. And if found so by the Supreme Court, then Supreme Court will interfere. This means that Supreme Court may revert the decision of central government and will retain the governor of a particular state. So, in the case of S.R. Bombay, as I have already told you, the Supreme Court ruled that the floor test must be done before the dismissal of a council of ministers. The discretionary power of governor cannot be a subjective decision. It will have to go through the floor test to find out whether the council of ministers or the chief minister enjoy the majority of the lower house or not. So this is the landmark judgment. In the Rameswar Prasad versus Government of Bihar, the Supreme Court ruled that governor cannot take decision to dissolve Bihar Assembly or to impose president rule on the basis of his subjective assessment. In the Karnataka Assembly case in 2018, the Supreme Court ruled that the discretionary power of the governor cannot be arbitrary or fanciful. In the Nabam Rebia case, Arunachal Pradesh 2016, the Supreme Court ruled that use of discretionary power or summoning or dissolving assembly session without the advice of the Council of Cabinet is unconstitutional. What are the controversies arising out of the appointment and dismissal of Chief Minister by the Governor? These are: the Governor appoints a leader as a Chief Minister who has a majority in the State Assembly. In case no single party got majority, the Governor has got discretionary power to appoint certain leader as Chief Minister of State, and he should invite the leader of the largest party. But this convention has not been followed by Governor of Goa, by Manipur, or several other states. So what we see, that the controversy arises on account of the appointment of particular Chief Minister by flouting the convention. Now in 1996, what we see, the then President Shankar Dayal Sharma invited Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the leader of the largest party BJP, and sworn him as Prime Minister of India. So this convention has to be adhered to by the President and governors of different states. But in actual practice, what we see, that governors do not follow the well-tested convention, and they act under the dictates of their political boss. This thing should not happen. If you want to subside the post of governor, in 1984, Bhaskar Rao was appointed Chief Minister of the then undivided Andhra Pradesh when the incumbent Chief Minister N.T. Rama Rao had gone to the US for surgery. Again in 1997, Ramesh Bhandari dismissed Kalyan Singh government and appointed Jagdambika Pal. After the interference of Allahabad High Court, Kalyan Singh government was reinstated within 3 days. Again in 2005, Shibu Soren was sworn in as the Chief Minister of Jharkhand by the then governor, and then when the Supreme Court ordered an immediate floor test, the incumbent Chief Minister, Shibu Soren, could not get majority, and then he had to resign, and then the BJP leader Arjun Munda was sworn in as the Chief Minister of Jharkhand. In 2018, Yediyurappa was sworn in as Chief Minister of Karnataka, in spite of the fact that the BJP got only 104 MLAs, and so he had no support of the majority MLAs. In spite of this fact, the governor sworn him as Chief Minister, but the Supreme Court interfered and it ordered the floor test, immediate floor test, for proving the majority enjoyed by Yediyurappa. Since Yediyurappa could not muster majority in the House, he had to resign. So what we see, Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court always tried to make the governor a constitutional head of the state. Its decorum, its prestige should not be diluted in the quagmire of party politics. It has been always the wish of the Supreme Court in different judgments that governors should not be the party of the political game, and he should not be quagmired in the controversies. Recommendation of different commissions. Student, as you know, that different commissions have been instituted by central government, by state government, and what are the recommendation of these commissions? I will narrate one by one. Number one, government appointed Administrative Reforms Commission in 1966 headed by Morarji Desai, who later became the Prime Minister of India, and its recommendation was that governor should be appointed a person who has long standing experience in public life and got expertise in social service, and he should have a non-partisan attitude. In Raja Mannar Committee in 1969 appointed by the then DMK government in Tamil Nadu, it recommended that the provision that the state ministry hold office during the pleasure of the governor should be omitted. Article 356, 357 and 365 should also be totally omitted. Again, Sarkaria Commission, which was instituted in 1983 to discuss the center-state relation and to give suggestion for the removal of obstruction in the smooth relationship between center and state, it recommended that when the president withholds his assent to the state bill sent by the governor, should communicate the reason as to why he is withholding a particular bill indefinitely. Governor's term of 5 years should not be disturbed except for some compelling factors. Again, the procedure of consulting the chief minister in the appointment of state government should be adhered to. Punchi Commission recommended, number one, while selecting governor, he should be a person from the outside state. Number two, detached figure not immediately connected with the local politics of the state, have fixed tenure of 5 years, should not be removed at the sweet will of the central government. The discretionary power of governor is limited and his choice of action should not be arbitrary or fanciful. The time-bound decision within 6 months by governor on the bill passed by the state legislature. Student, as you know, the governor has power either to assent the bill, to return the bill, to withhold the bill, and to send the bill to the president for reconsideration. So there are 4 options available to governor when a certain bill is passed by the state legislature. Now this commission recommends that once the bill is passed and is submitted to governor for his signature, that bill should be signed over within 6 months from the date of the passage of bill from the state legislature. It should not be kept by governor indefinitely. His removal procedure should be like that of president. As you know, the president cannot be removed in an ordinary manner. He can be removed by the process of impeachment, and this process of impeachment starts by the passage of impeachment motion in both houses of parliament by a special majority. It means the 2/3 majority of present and voting, 2/3 majority of MP present and voting, and the absolute majority of that house, and then that motion will be deemed to be passed, and then President of India will stand removed. Such process is not for governor, because governor holds his position during the pleasure of the president. So the commission recommends that there must be something, a procedure like the president for the removal of governor. He should not be removed at the whims and caprices of the central government. Right of governor to give sanction for prosecution of an erring minister should be there against the advice of his council of ministers, in order to establish transparency in the administration. Now, since governor is a constitutional head, he will have to abide by the decision of council of minister, but this commission recommend that if an erring minister has to be prosecuted in the larger interest of the state, the governor should have power to give sanction for the prosecution of that erring minister against the wishes of council of minister. Governor first invite the party or the combination of party which commands the widest support in the legislative assembly. And I have already discussed in detail that as to how these conventions have been flouted with impunity by different governors while giving oath to chief ministers of different states like Goa, Manipur, or even Maharashtra. There are hundreds of cases. So these malpractices must be stopped. Solution and way forward. Students, now what are the solutions for re-establishing governor as a constitutional head of the state? How the controversies surrounding governors can be removed? Governor has also been assigned to keep the central government informed as to the important development taking place in the state. As I have already told you, that governor has been assigned two functions. As a constitutional head of the state, when he functions as constitutional head, he will have to abide by the decisions taken by the council of ministers headed by chief minister. He is bound to accept the advice of council of ministers. But in certain cases where the bill has been passed by council, by a state legislature, or a decision has been taken for lowering of the power of high court or against the provision of directive principles of a state policy, or the certain bill which are at variance with the constitutional provision of India, then governor can send that bill for the reconsideration of precedence, reconsideration of the President of India. So these are the discretionary power, and governor cannot be absolved of this discretionary power in the larger interest of the federal state of India. Now we must understand that governor has dual function. This dual function are not assigned to the President of India, and so when governor works as a representative of the central government, we must understand his responsibilities, his limitations, and so he should not be mired in controversies. Now, what we see in the case of Maharashtra, the state legislature passed a resolution, a bill, and asked governor to fix the date for the election of a speaker, but governor did not sign over that resolution. Now the election of a speaker is not taking place in Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. This should not happen. But a state legislature has power to amend the rule of intimation regarding intimation of the date of election of a speaker. It can amend the rule and include a provision that once the state cabinet decides the date, it should be conveyed to the secretary of assembly, and then secretary will convey the same to all the members of legislative assembly, and then election can take place. This can happen. Similarly, the Kerala governor expressed his grievances in public and said that he signed over the document relating to the reappointment of the Vice Chancellor of Kannur University against his wish. This should not happen because he cannot relinquish the charge of chancellorship of the state because he holds chancellorship on account of the his ex officio position as the governor of the state. So until or unless he relinquishes his substantive post, that means governor of Kerala, he can't relinquish the charge of chancellorship of that state. In the case of Gopal Krishnan versus Chancellor in University of Kerala, the Kerala High Court ruled that in matters relating to a reappointment of Vice Chancellor, Governor must evaluate the performance of Vice Chancellor and must satisfy himself before signing the appointment order. Now this verdict is clear, and so the Kerala Governor should not have gone to the public and should not have expressed his anguish that he had to sign over the reappointment order of certain of the Vice Chancellor of Kannur University against under duress or under pressure. This verdict is clear. Now, Governor should demarcate the boundary line between the function as constitutional head, whereas he will have to abide by the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, and as a representative of the President of India in discharging discretionary power under Article 163. Any mismatch between these two defined powers will embroil governor into controversies. Conclusion. What is my conclusion? Student, number one, the highest constitutional authority in the state, governor is the highest constitutional authority in the state. All the executive works are carried out in the name of governor. No legislative bill can become act without the signature of governor. So, governor is part and parcel of the state legislature, although he is not the member of either house of the legislature. So, his decorum, his prestige must be maintained at any cost. Number two, he should function as a friend, philosopher and guide to his government. Number three, the Constitution doesn't allow him to run parallel government. Number four, Constitution doesn't make him personally responsible for any act for his action as governor, and no civil or criminal cases can be instituted against him. Political expediency not overtake constitutional property. So, he should be a man above party and look at the minister and government from a detached standpoint. Again, he should abide by the evolution of the convention and must not act at the dictates of the central government. Democratic institutions are strengthened and evolved by conventions developed with the passage of time, like the Constitution of England. So all out efforts should be made by the constitutional authority to follow convention. If governors desist themselves from whims and caprices of his political masters, the constitution can run smoothly in our country. So, student, the sub and substance of the role of governor and the ways as to how he can be above the party politics, above controversies surrounding him for the last 72 years, is that he must follow the convention set by President of India. For example, in 1996, the President invited the leader of the largest party, although that party did not have majority in lower house of parliament. So the different judgment of Supreme Court should be taken into account while taking decision by the governor of a particular state. If these rules and conventions are followed by governors in his discharge of duties as a constitutional functionary, no controversy can crop up. So, student, I am now winding up my lecture. I hope that you might have relished this lecture. If you have any suggestion, please send your comments, and I shall be very much thankful to you. Just type AJIS Academy on YouTube and open the playlist. You will find numerous videos, and these videos are meant for students preparing for UPSC and other civil services examinations. This is a free channel, so student, take benefit out of my lectures. I hope that you should take care of health. Thank you very much.